I am from the UK, and I have moved to the USA to live with my wife. We got married a few weeks ago. It was recently her birthday, and I did a few things that I thought would be nice, but they backfired on me. I am sharing on Reddit because we agreed not to discuss our personal marital issues with family or friends. This often leaves me with my own thoughts, and I don't often get outside perspective, so I would greatly appreciate people's responses here. So here's what happened. The evening before her birthday, I went to Kroger to buy a card, a small cake, more on the cake later, and apple cider. I also bought a heated massage blanket as a birthday gift. The birthday, 1. At midnight, I woke up my wife singing happy birthday. I had a mini chocolate cake about the size of a palm with one candle on it. My wife was tired, so she blew out the candle and went back to sleep. 2. In the morning, she woke up before me and went to work. I knew she was coming home for lunch, so I thought it would be nice to lay out the tabletop in a nice way as a small welcome back. I arranged the card, the gift, heated mattress, apple cider bottle, the untouched cake from last night, and lit a scented candle, all on a white tablecloth. I thought the setup looked good. I gave her a hug and a kiss and welcomed her home. I suggested going for brunch, but she said since we were going for dinner, she did not want to go for brunch. I offered to make lunch, but she wanted to make avocado on toast herself. 4. In the evening, after her work finished, we picked out a dinner place together. I intentionally waited to decide with her because she is quite specific about the food she wants to eat, and I wanted her to go to a place she likes. I am new to the city and country, so I do not have much knowledge about the surrounding food places. Also, I have specific dietary requirements. I also wanted her to pick out the cake because I thought it would be nice to pick what she likes, and we could cut it over dinner. It took us 10 minutes to pick a dinner place. She told me what cake she wanted. She had mentioned it a few days earlier, but I had completely forgotten, so I drove and got the cake while she got dressed for dinner. 5. After dinner, we watched a movie of her choice at the cinema. Her complaints. A. She did not like the heated massage blanket. I got this as a surprise because she has back pain and asks for massages regularly. She felt the gift was not thoughtful enough, and I should not have got it from a shop like Kroger, but from a better shop like Amazon or Target. I did not know that Kroger was considered a bad shop, and I also thought that this would be a good gift considering her needs. B. There was no big welcome when she came home from work. Unfortunately, I did not realize that this is something I should have done. I thought what I did was nice and cute, even if small. C. She does not like apple cider. Honestly, I got apple cider because I thought she actually likes it. Turns out she hates it. D. She did not appreciate that she had to pick the dinner place and cake herself. I honestly felt that she would have appreciated me asking her preferences so she could have a nice time. I did not ask before the day itself because I wanted to do the midnight surprise, and discussing things before would have removed the element of surprise. E. Candles. I had got candles for the small cake at midnight. She said these were awful for the big cake and that they should be white rather than multicolored. I explained that these were for the small cake. F. We stopped at Kroger on the way to dinner to get candles for the big cake. She saw flowers, and she mentioned that it would be nice to get flowers for her birthday. As we looked at the flowers, she commented on how she did not like a lot of them, and as we moved away, she said she was disappointed in me that I did not get her flowers, and that she had to beg me right now to get the flowers. I explained that I was keen to get her the flowers once I realized she wanted them, but we only moved away from the section because she kept on commenting on how she did not like the different combinations of the flowers. And I myself was happy to get some there and there. Additionally, I lost my debit card on the honeymoon, so I have had to use her card until mine is set up. At this moment in the flower shopping, she made a comment saying, "I wish you could get a card here, i.e. in the US." I already felt bad that we had to use her card for her birthday, even though I'd transfer the money via bank transfer, and for her to make the comment was heartbreaking. The context. We got married recently and immediately afterwards went on a round-the-world trip, only returning last week. So this is our first week of living together in the USA after marriage. For me, it's a big change, so I am still settling in. I do not have my own car, and am also tight on money considering the big wedding expenses as well as the recent trip. I am recently estranged from my family and still working on sorting that out. I am also working on transferring my work and career to the USA. All in all, a lot is going on, and I have been very overwhelmed and short on time. Prior to getting married, I was working 70, 80-hour weeks just to save up money for the wedding and the trip, as well as current living expenses. So I barely had time to plan for a birthday. She knows things have been challenging for me, and my perspective is that despite all of that, I am happy because I'm with her. Work, money, and family issues will all sort themselves out. The fact she is with me is all that matters. So her saying she was disappointed in the birthday I had set up made me really sad, and it made me feel that she wasn't being grateful at all, especially since she is aware of the tightness in money, family issues, and that I'm still setting up my career in the US. And despite all of that, I have retained positivity and remained my happy self. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Honestly, I can see why she's upset. 1. Unless it's an already established tradition, it was crazy to wake her up at midnight. If you wanted to surprise her, then you should have gotten up early and made her breakfast, not take sleep away from her so she can blow out a candle. 2. Again, would have been nice for you to have gotten up before her and made breakfast. 3. Most Americans don't have unlimited time for lunch. If you wanted to take her out for lunch, then you should have planned something first and had her meet you there. If you wanted to cook her lunch, then you should have done that before she got home, because she likely didn't have time to wait around for you to cook something or go to a restaurant. Number 4. Having her pick out the restaurant and the cake makes it seem like you didn't put any thought or effort into planning her birthday. It also gives the impression that you don't know what her preferences are. If you wanted her input, you could have asked for it at least a week in advance and gotten reservations at a place to show her you were thinking about it. Tosh, getting her a heated blanket from a grocery store the night before her birthday is shitty. Was that the gift you were always planning on getting her? Or did you see it at the store and think, this will do? Because it comes across as the latter. Did you guys not date for very long before this marriage? By this point, you should know what her favorite food is, or that she likes flowers. Comment 2. Okay, Brit living in the US who also married an American. It's blindingly obvious Kroger is a supermarket. Second, sounds like it's been super long distance for a minute. You got married for the visa and are now living here. You guys need to communicate. My husband likes useful gifts like tools and shoot for his birthday. I like things I want, not need. We have talked at length about love languages, what each other's emotional and physical needs are, what we like as gifts, what we consider freaking irritating, like being woken up at midnight. Y'all need to talk. Ask her what food she likes, then book and make a reservation. Flowers are a given for most people. Shoot, even my husband likes getting flowers on his birthday. Buy her something she wants, not something she needs. A massage blanket basically says I can't be arsed massaging your back anymore. A couple's spa day with a couple's massage means I want to spend time with you. This is something we never do. It'll be fun to do it together. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, back again with an update on the birthday saga. It's been a week since my wife's birthday, and let me tell you, things have been a roller coaster. I've been trying to make amends, but it's like every step forward takes me 2 steps back. So after the birthday fiasco, I decided to surprise her with a home-cooked dinner. I remembered she once mentioned loving a particular dish her mom used to make. I called her mom, got the recipe, and spent hours in the kitchen trying to get it just right. I thought it was a thoughtful gesture, considering our recent issues. When she came home and saw the dinner, she was touched at first, but then she tasted it. Turns out, I got the recipe wrong, and it tasted nothing like her mom's. She tried to hide her disappointment, but I could tell. In an effort to fix things, I suggested we have a do-over birthday weekend. I planned a whole day out, starting with a visit to the art museum she'd been wanting to go to, followed by a picnic in the park. I even managed to find a bakery that made her favorite cake, the one I forgot about on her actual birthday. I thought I was finally getting things right. The day started well. We enjoyed the museum, and the picnic was going great until an old college friend of hers showed up. They hadn't seen each other in years, and the surprise encounter seemed to make her day. They caught up, and I could see she was genuinely happy. But then the conversation turned to our marriage, and her friend made a comment about how she always thought my wife would end up with her college sweetheart, Mark. I saw a look in my wife's eyes that I hadn't seen before, a sort of wistfulness. It was a punch in the gut, realizing there might be feelings there she hadn't let go of. We left the park, and I tried to shake off the feeling. We cut the cake, and she loved it, but the moment was overshadowed by what happened next. We ran into Mark himself. It was like fate was playing a cruel joke on me. They hugged, and it was a hug that lasted a bit too long for comfort. Mark was charming, and I could see the old sparks flying between them. I felt out of place, like a third wheel in my own marriage. The rest of the day was awkward. We went home, and I could tell she was distant. I confronted her about Mark, and she admitted she had been thinking about him lately, but assured me it was just nostalgia. I wanted to believe her, but doubt had already planted its seeds. The next few days were tense. We barely spoke, and when we did, it was superficial. I missed the closeness we used to have, but it felt like there was a wall between us now. I started to question if moving to the USA was the right decision. I felt isolated, not just from my family, but now from my wife too. Then, 2 days ago, she came home from work with news. She had been offered a promotion, a big one, but it required us to move across the country. It was an incredible opportunity for her, and I knew I should be happy, but it meant starting over yet again for me. New city, new job search, new everything. I was proud of her, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being left behind. We had a long talk about the promotion and what it meant for us. She was excited, and I tried to match her enthusiasm, but it was hard. The move would mean further delaying fixing things with my family and getting my career on track. But I agreed, knowing it was important to her. Last night, we were packing some of her things, and I found a photo album. It was full of pictures of her and Mark from their college days. She caught me looking through it and snatched it away, saying it was old memories, nothing more. But the way she held on to that album, I couldn't help but feel like she was holding on to more than just photos. Fiancé begged me to forgive him after I found out he cheated on me throughout our long-distance relationship, but now he admits he physically cheated on me. I, 24 years old female, recently found out my fiancé, 23 years old male, has been cheating on me the whole relationship. What should I do? Here's the context. I, 24 years old female, recently moved in with my fiancé, 23 years old male, across the country to help take care of his family. We've been together for 2 years. We had been in a long-distance relationship up until I moved in, but I have visited him a few times. In the process of moving in, I also found out I was pregnant. A week after I found out about our baby, I found out that he had been cheating on me the entire time. I had a feeling for a while that something was happening, but he would always reassure me and tell me I could check his accounts, messages, etc. I never did because I wanted to trust him as I'm trying to heal from past relationships. That changed when I woke up in the middle of the night and had a feeling to look through his phone. I know that's horrible, and I genuinely don't know why I did it. I found so many messages with other girls on his Snapchat, Discord, and messages. Apparently the times he'd been sleeping, or just not answering me, was when he'd be playing games with them and being on call with them. I confronted him with everything a few days ago, which sent him into a frenzy of crying and apologizing, but never owning up to what he did. He wouldn't tell me the full truth when that's all I asked of him. He just keeps telling me that he wants us to work, he wants us to be a family, he wants to fix it, etc. When I told him I just needed time to process and figure out what I wanted, he started crying more and asking me to hold him. It feels like my whole world is shattered, and I don't know how to forgive him or leave him. Every day he just begs me to forgive him. When I asked him one more time for the full truth, he started hurting himself and acting like I should just let it go. My soul feels crushed. I don't really have any family or any friends to turn to. I put everything I had into this relationship, and I genuinely thought someone loved me for once. Being pregnant on top of everything is making it harder. He swears he wants to be a dad so bad and that he wants to treat me better. But if he wanted that, he would have done that the whole time, right? I don't have anyone here to stay with, and all my money was used to move, so I'm not sure if leaving is an option at the moment. But how do I stay with someone when I feel like they never loved me? Any advice is welcome. Update. Thank you to everyone giving me advice. I've read through most of the responses and just wanted to say that I'm taking steps to leave. I posted out of frustration and shock from this situation. You guys have given me a lot of perspective. To answer how far along I am, I'm almost 12 weeks. Also, to the people asking where the cheating is, the messages in Discord, Snapchat, text messaging app, they talked about their hookups, hooking up again, sexted, video chatted, shared nudes, etc. As for family, my grandparents and my mom have passed on, so I don't have much, but I'm currently contacting my dad to see if he can help me in any way. Even if it's a slower process, I am planning on getting out. Thank you to all the resources to do with pregnancy. It's been very hectic, and I'm hoping from here on out it goes smoother. I am also for sure getting tested for any infections, diseases. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This man is not ready for a baby. He is nowhere near mature enough. His conflict resolution skills are incredibly low. He tries to control you by going so far as threatening or doing self-harm. He has a disrespectful relationship to boundaries, since he happily gets a bit too close to other women while knowing this is a breach of trust. He tried to deceive you here too, by showing off his phone while it was in a purged state to cover his butt. You can always start over. Whatever you do, just don't stay with such an awful man. Comment 2. For me, the clue here is across the country to help take care of his family. So if that hadn't happened, you would still be in a long-distance relationship, and he would be happily screwing around. He really doesn't want you to leave him with his family to look after and cramp his style. He is genuinely desperate for you not to leave. If you stay, he will get back to his ways because he's discovered you will tolerate it. He wants you to stay, but not for the reasons you hoped. Stay, and this is your life. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since my last post, and let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster. I've been trying to figure out what to do about my fiancé and our baby on the way. I've been staying with him because I don't really have anywhere else to go right now. But things have gotten even more complicated. So after I posted last time, I decided to confront my fiancé again. I needed to know everything if there was even a chance of us working things out. He finally broke down and told me about all the girls he'd been messaging. Turns out, he'd been seeing someone from his work too. I was devastated. It's one thing to know he's been messaging other girls, but to find out he's been physically cheating too, that was a whole new level of betrayal. I've been trying to keep it together, especially because I'm pregnant, but it's been so hard. My fiancé keeps saying he wants to make things right, but I just don't know if I can trust him again. He's been going to therapy and trying to show me he's changed, but it's like, why now? Why not before all this happened? In the middle of all this, I got a message from one of the girls he'd been talking to. She didn't know he was engaged or that I was pregnant. She was just as shocked as I was and apologized a million times. She even offered to help me in any way she could. It was a weird moment, bonding with someone over the fact that we'd both been lied to by the same guy. I've been talking to my dad, and he's been trying to help me figure out my next steps. He's not in the best financial situation himself, but he's been looking into ways to get me back home. It's been a relief to have someone in my corner, even if it's just over the phone. But here's the real kicker. I found out that my fiancé had been planning a trip with one of the girls he met online. He'd been saving up for it, telling me it was for our future. When I found out, I couldn't even look at him. I felt so stupid for believing his lies. I've been spending a lot of time alone, just thinking about everything. I've been going for walks, trying to clear my head. It's been hard to eat or sleep, and I'm worried about the baby. I know I need to take care of myself, but it's like my whole world has been turned upside down. I've been looking into resources for pregnant women in my situation, and I've found a few organizations that might be able to help me. I'm trying to stay strong for my baby, but it's been the hardest thing I've ever had to do. My fiancé has been trying to be more involved, asking me to go to doctor's appointments with him and trying to talk about baby names. But every time I look at him, I just see all the lies and the cheating. It's like I don't even know who he is anymore. I'm still figuring out what to do, but I know I can't stay with him. I need to do what's best for me and my baby, even if it means starting over completely. It's going to be a long road, but I'm trying to stay hopeful. Fiancé wants me to quit my job and support his business full-time, but I value my independence and career. So he threatens to leave if I don't quit my job and go on a trip with him. I seek advice and support from colleagues and realize I don't want to make the same mistake as a coworker who chose their partner over their career. He eventually understands my perspective, but then accuses me of neglecting the relationship. He goes on a trip and I receive conflicting messages about our relationship from his best friend. I'm confused and unsure what to believe. Hi, this is a throwaway since people in my life know my account. I will try to keep this as short as possible. I have been with my fiancé for 7 years and engaged for just under 1 year. When we first started dating, he was very detached and it took a long time for him to even acknowledge me as his partner. I am almost embarrassed looking back at how I never gave up. I just kept believing he was the one and thinking what an amazing life we could have. Fast forward to 2019, he wanted to leave his job and start his own company. I fully supported him and I filed all his paperwork to establish his company, set up his licenses, insurance, accounting systems, everything I could think of. For years, I would work all day at my job and then come home and work on his invoices, estimates, emails, categorizing expenses, etc. I was never paid or compensated, but it was never about that. I liked feeling useful, and there was nothing I wanted more than to support him. But as time went on, this began to wear me down. I felt as though I was an employee, not a partner. Whenever I voiced frustration or exhaustion, he would just tell me to quit my job so I could help him full-time. To some, that might sound like a dream, but to me, it sounded like prison. I enjoyed my job. I had worked hard to reach an upper management position, and I liked the people I got to see and work with every day. But part of it also scared me. I promised myself a long time ago that I would never be dependent on a man, that no matter what happened, I would be able to support myself. So I kept my job. It kept being a point of tension, with little jabs here and there that he wasn't enough of a priority. I began to slowly pull away, getting more and more frustrated with the constant work and no fun. I think he realized this, and in April he proposed. It was horrifying. He proposed at 3 a.m. in the middle of a Las Vegas casino. I am a lifelong people pleaser, so what did I do? I said yes. How could I say anything else with a huge crowd of drunk people cheering for us? I thought maybe things would get better, but they continued to be the same. This is where it gets a little messy. He is not from America and came here illegally. He has since gotten a work visa, but he has never been able to go back to his home country. He recently applied for a grant to go and visit his grandmother's grave and was granted a 60-day window to go and return. He told me this Friday, 3 days ago, and he is planning to leave in 4 days. The trip is 2 weeks long. As soon as he told me, I immediately panicked because I cannot take that long of a trip on such short notice. My work requires a 2-week notice, and besides that, I do not even have 10 days of PTO. I rolled over days from last year, so I have a maximum of 5 days I could use. I work for a large company, and they do not allow you to take any PTO that you have not accrued. I tried to compromise and tell him I would come for the second week of the trip, but he will not allow it. He says I either go for the full trip or none of it. After telling him that I cannot take that much time off, he told me to just quit my job. If I don't, I obviously care more about my job than him. He is now telling me that if I don't quit my job and go on this trip, we are done. This seems completely unreasonable to me. How do I get him to understand that I want to support him and be there for him, but I just can't drop all my responsibilities at the drop of a hat? Now for a few comments before the update. He is threatening to leave me, This is excellent news. I'm sorry. I know it's going to be painful and you probably don't want to think about it, but once he goes through with this threat, you will be free to live the life you actually want, instead of doing countless hours of unpaid labor for him and living with his ultimatums. When you think about it like that, actually, why wait? Take back your own agency and break up with him. Let him leave then. You have a career. He has taken advantage of you long enough with the uncompensated labor. He is trying to destabilize you so you are dependent on him. That's a huge mistake on your part. Keep your job. Seriously, a guy who makes an ultimatum like this is trying to take you apart slowly but surely. Now for the update. Hey everyone, back with an update on the situation with my fiance. It's been a chaotic 3 days and I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. So after my last post, things escalated quickly. I tried to talk to my fiance about the trip again, hoping he'd understand my position. But he was adamant that I had to choose between my job and him. It felt like a punch in the gut. I've always been independent, and the thought of giving up my career for a trip was just not something I could do. I decided to reach out to my boss, explaining the situation and asking if there was any way I could take the time off. My boss, who's known me for years and has seen me climb the ranks, was sympathetic but firm. Company policy was clear and there was no way around it. I felt trapped between a rock and a hard place. That night, my fiance and I had a huge fight. He accused me of not being supportive, of choosing my job over him. I tried to explain that it wasn't about the job, it was about my independence and not wanting to be forced into a corner. But he wouldn't listen. He stormed out, saying he needed time to think. The next day, I was a mess at work. I couldn't focus, and my colleagues noticed. One of them, let's call her Sarah, pulled me aside. She's been with the company for a decade and has always been someone I looked up to. She asked me what was wrong, and I ended up spilling everything to her. Sarah listened and then shared her own story. She had been in a similar situation years ago and had chosen her partner over her career. It ended badly, and she regretted it ever since. Her story hit me hard, and I realized I couldn't make the same mistake. When I got home, my fiancé was there, and he seemed calmer. He said he'd been thinking and that he understood why I couldn't come. I was relieved, thinking we'd finally reached an understanding. But then he dropped a bombshell. He said he'd been feeling neglected for a long time, that my job was always my priority, and he didn't feel like a partner, but more like a project I was managing. I was stunned. I had poured so much of myself into helping him with his business, and now he was saying it made him feel less important. It was a jaw-dropping moment, and I didn't know how to respond. We talked for hours, going over our entire relationship, the ups and downs, the struggles we'd faced. It was intense and emotional, and by the end of it, we were both exhausted. The following day, he left for his trip. We were on shaky ground, but we agreed to use the time apart to think about our relationship and what we both wanted. I felt a mix of emotions as I watched him go. Part of me was scared of what the future held, but another part was relieved to have some space to think. Now, here's where the misunderstanding comes in. Today I got a call from my fiance's best friend, who's been helping him with his business while he's away. He said my fiance had been in an accident. My heart stopped. But then he quickly explained it was just a minor scooter accident, and my fiance was fine, just a few scrapes and bruises. I was so relieved, but then the friend mentioned something odd. He said my fiance had been talking about how supportive I was, how I'd been there for him through everything, and how he couldn't wait to marry me. It was the complete opposite of what my fiance had said to me before he left. I was confused and didn't know what to believe. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.